What's going on, 5-9 Gaming crew? Lethal one up here, and guys, welcome back to another 5-9 Gaming weekly wrap. I got 4 pieces of news that I want to share with you guys this week in regards to the world of gaming. There was one of which I was going to talk about, but we actually did a video about it already, so go check it out. It's already on the channel about the Steam Deck that just got dropped by Valve and Steam. I just gotta say, that is an impressive piece of tech right there. People are calling it the Nintendo Switch killer. I don't know if I'd say that. I think my opinion, right, because I wasn't available for that video, so my opinion on the whole Steam Deck is that it's awesome, it's impressive, it is fantastic for those that already they've started on PC and they have a crazy Steam library, and you know, again, like that's just been like their main like gaming choice, right? Their main go-to for gaming, right? They built up that Steam library. I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be for those who already have a Steam account or whatever. This, you could kind of say, is kind of geared towards the people who want portable gaming systems, which in this case can work for. The problem is, and this is the one thing that I've still haven't like had Steam Deck take that kind of spot in a way, is that the one thing is there's so many ways to play your games portable. I feel like nowadays, especially with Game Pass and how they've turned your your smartphone into a portable gaming console. At this point, there are so many like third-party like accessories out there. Like there's like there's the Razer key sheet that can go to your Amazon phone to your Android phone. There's also the backbone that I use for my iPhone, right? These are these third-party controllers, and not even just that, but you can easily just connect your PlayStation or your Xbox controller to your phone, right? To play a lot of like these games on the go and stuff like that. Like there's so many avenues for portable gaming. But I've always felt like when it came down to it, the Switch just wins, and it's hard to take down the Switch because at the end of the day, like, you can't help but want to say that this is kind of geared to kind of go against the Switch because this is what the Switch is known for, right? Portable gaming. However, Switch does not have the backing of all of these third-party games, whereas this Steam Deck does. But the thing that I keep coming back to is like, at the end of the day, like, I don't think this is going to be the Switch killer. Right, because that's what this is being deemed as, is the Switch killer. I don't think so. I think the Switch will still do good. In fact, it'll probably still, I wouldn't be surprised if Switch still just sells phenomenal, because again, we have to look at this in regards to like the new Switch OLED that just got announced and already just did its pre-orders this week. So that just pretty much happened. Funny how the timing of the Steam Deck news is on the day of pre-orders for Nintendo Switch. But if I'm not mistaken, Nintendo Switch still sold out everywhere online. I could be wrong, but from when I looked at it, I think it was Benji Sales that put up a tweet saying that like it's sold out on just about everywhere. Now some places might have gotten like a restock or something, or whatever the case may be. I still think Switch will still do really good. Like, I don't think the Switch is going anywhere. That's what I'm trying to say, is like people are like, oh, Switch is dead, that's it, Nintendo Switch is over. At the end of the day, at least not legally, at the end of the day, Nintendo Switch has Nintendo games, and people have to remember that. The Steam Deck doesn't have, unless we don't know of any games, right? Any games coming from Valve or whatever that they're making specifically for the Steam Deck. Nothing about that just yet, but at the end of the day, Nintendo has Nintendo games, and that's where you're playing your Smash Brothers, your Marios, your Zeldas, your Metroids, like you're playing that there. Now, emulation is a whole other conversation. We're talking about brand new Switch games, right? We're talking about what's coming out in the future, right? These Pokemon, these newer Pokemon games. Like, you're not playing that day one on your Steam Deck. Again, not like, you know, here's the thing, people are gonna be like, oh, emulation and stuff like that. And true, that's true, but at the same time, one, not legal, but two, I don't think that's really that there yet. And so there's gonna be some type of compatibility issues. Like, I don't know. Regardless, my point is, Nintendo Switch isn't going anywhere. So I want to just point that as a little bit of my argument, because I did want to talk about it a little bit, but again, we have a whole video about the Steam Deck. Go check out the Steam Deck. It's on the channel right now. Sorry, that was not even in regards to the news for today. Let's jump into the very first news article, and that is Netflix gaming is becoming a thing. And this was rumored, I feel like this was rumored a long time ago, kind of, that Netflix was reportedly looking into doing some type of gaming on their service, and now it's becoming a more of a thing. So Netflix is making its first big move beyond TV shows and films, and is planning an expansion into video games, and has hired the former Electronic Arts Inc. and Facebook executive Mike Verdu to lead the team. The idea is to offer video games on Netflix streaming platform within the next year, and the games will appear alongside other genres, similar to what Netflix has done with like their documentaries, their stand-up specials. So you'll probably see a special little icon that goes specifically for like, you know, for the actual gaming component of Netflix. The company doesn't plan currently to charge anything extra. And before I forget, this is from Lucas Shaw over at Bloomberg. The service currently does well. However, it was reported that it added fewer subscribers than expected in its most recent reporting for its quarter. So essentially, it's starting to look like maybe, obviously with the rise of like Disney Plus, because I feel like that's like the biggest contender right now is Disney Plus, because Disney Plus is skyrocketing. Loki, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, like those shows are booming Disney Plus right now. And not to mention like day and date movies, right? Like Black Widow, for example, you can watch it on Disney Plus. You gotta pay that premiere access, but you know, you can get access to it right away. Point is, Netflix is not getting the expected subscribers that they were looking forward to getting, right? Like they're not meeting those like quotas and stuff like that. So this is, I think, their way to be like, okay, we got to try something different. This is the part where now you got to innovate, and what's the next thing that you can do? And so they're going the gaming route. And so I think that's it's interesting. Most people at this point, and I think this is the issue that Game Pass has, is some people are just not there when it comes to streaming video games. Like we've talked about this before, but streaming video games is an option, but it's not like the typical go-to option for most people, most general consumers. I feel like now the hardcore audience is a little bit different, because the hardcore audience will do whatever, right? Like people who are buying the Steam Deck, for example, that's a hardcore audience. You're not going to see random families out there being like, oh, I should buy, like, you know, I should get that. Like, nah, it's for much more the diehard fans. But I want to toss this over to you guys. What do you guys think about Netflix adding in gaming to it? Does it make sense? What's cool is there's more that I want to add on to this news. But what I also want to pose as a question is, if Netflix gets gaming, do we see Netflix prices going up even more? Because I mean, there's no way you're not going to have, like, you know, even a price hike at some point if they're going to start offering video games as well. So I want to hear that from you guys. And I think another question that I was going to pose to you guys too is, you know, what games do you want to see come from the Netflix service? Like, do you think they'll get some big support from third party? I mean, look how Amazon is doing, right? Amazon has the whole Prime gaming thing. They have the whole Luna thing going. You know, that's kind of similar ballpark for them. And I think it's not taking off maybe that great, and I don't even think it's had like an official hard launch yet. I feel like it's been more of like a soft launch and slowly just incorporating new things over time. Do you think Netflix will have that same issue? I think Netflix has a bigger subscriber count than like Amazon Prime. I could be wrong, but I think so. But then again, everybody has Prime. A lot of people have Prime. So I guess for those of you that maybe have Prime, do you even touch the gaming aspect that comes with your Prime subscription? You know, do you even go into Luna and stuff like that? I want to hear about it, because again, that's kind of like the territory of what Netflix would be going into. And what I was going to go into earlier was, you know, most of the time when these, you know, companies like Netflix and Amazon, when they start starting up these type of gaming services, do they have exclusives, right? This is what sells your service. This is what makes people want to say, I'm going to get that PlayStation over that Xbox, right? Because it has those games. Like, people forget, at the end of the day, games is what really will sell a service, because people are going to want to play that game. And so if it's only exclusive on a certain service, that's how that stuff kind of works, right? So what do you want to see from Netflix when it comes from gaming? And first that jumped to my head, really popular, was The Witcher, which is a big one, obviously, but Witcher already has, you know, games out there, right? So I don't know exactly how that would work. Would they, you know, the thing is though, Witcher just had WitcherCon, and they have some types of they have all these types of partnerships with Netflix and stuff like that. Do we see another Witcher game potentially, you know, come from Netflix and the team that they're building for the game development side? I don't know. Again, they are currently with CD Projekt Red and stuff like that, right? The Witcher. So I don't know how that works, but I'm curious, you know, Netflix gaming, is that a thing for you? And would you want to play Netflix video games based off most likely their prominent, you know, shows and stuff like that, right? Like The Witcher, for example. Stranger Things. If I'm not mistaken, Stranger Things has video games already. So would you care to play a special Stranger Things game over on Netflix? Let me know. But I want to add to this, because with the second story that I have, this comes from Tyler Fisher at comicbook.com. Apparently, this is a leak, but I say take this with a grain of salt. Because this is more like rumor-ish, leak-ish, because nothing is obvious. When nothing is not confirmed, I don't really like to talk about it, but because it kind of goes along with the story, I kind of want to add more to it, because Netflix is a big service, right? Netflix is pretty big. So you have to imagine they got a good plan in place when they go through this whole like gaming section and go down this gaming route. There's got to be something in place. Apparently, again, according to comicbook.com, PlayStation is looking to be working with Netflix for the potential use of their service to create potentially, that sounds like so many potentials, a Game Pass rival. That's what the heading is, but let's read more into this. And this comes, a lot of these excerpts are coming straight from comicbook.com. On Twitter, data miner Steve Moser relays word that Netflix's new gaming initiative is codenamed Shark, which is represented by a shark fin image in their iOS app. Now, whereas PlayStation come into play with all this, according to Moser, the same files contain a custom icon for the PlayStation 5 controller and an image of Ghost of Tsushima, which is a 2020 PlayStation exclusive from Sucker Punch. Now, it seems to suggest that the two companies are working together for whatever the initiative is, and if this is the case, then what does it become? More importantly, is PlayStation just partnering up with them for something special, or is there going to be like an actual big collaborated, PlayStation is going to, put more into the Netflix a gaming aspect and stuff like that. Like, so, point is PlayStation looking to be partnering up with Netflix to do more for their cloud service gaming, or more for their just, cloud service gaming for the most part? Because it's weird because they have PlayStation Now. Like, they already have a service, right? Like, this is the part where it gets kind of weird because it's like, you hear these like stories and articles about PlayStation maybe working with this company when it comes to cloud service gaming, and then it's like, okay, they've gotten certain companies and they've put in some partnerships into certain places to help kind of bolster, right, their like kind of online portfolio a bit, right, their service. But the question is, do they work with, like, is this going to be a thing where they work with Netflix to push out more PlayStation content? Do they make a special deal where, like, hey, now when you get your Netflix subscription, you get a subscription to, I don't know, would it be like PlayStation Now? Do you automatically just get certain games? I mean, I guess I want to pass it over to you guys. I think it's a cool thing. However, I have this whole thing where, like, again, PlayStation Now already exists, right? And if you have PlayStation Now, you most likely probably have a PlayStation. Same thing with Xbox. If you have an Xbox, you probably have Game Pass, right? So it's hard to see these other companies like Netflix start gaming and then to really get into it. And I think this is the problem what happened with like Google. You saw the whole thing happen with Google Stadia and everything. That it didn't take off. It really didn't do as well. I think Xbox is doing it better. But again, the point was that like those are console people getting a service that still works for their console, right? Same thing for PlayStation. And these are well-established, companies, right? Sony, PlayStation, and then Microsoft and Xbox. Like, they've been doing this for a while. People have already gotten to the ecosystems and have already adopted, into the hardware, right? So, not care to go ahead and buy like these extra services and stuff like that. I guess the point I'm just trying to make is like, take this stuff with a grain of salt, but I don't know how well Netflix gaming will do, but it's a thing. So, just keep that in your mind. Jumping into story number 3, no Star Wars games are going to be at EA Play. And this comes from EA Star Wars' official Twitter account. Their tweet specifically said this: "We won't be showing any new Star Wars games at EA Play Live on July 22nd, but all of us look forward to celebrating with you next year when we share our vision for the galaxy far, far away." Now, keep in mind, EA is losing its exclusivity deal, which was, I think, like a 10-year deal that should be, I think it's expiring soon, if not already, because you're already seeing companies like Ubisoft making a Star Wars game. There was another game that was coming out, I believe, on Nintendo Switch. Regardless, other studios are getting the property to make games for it, basically. So we know that EA is starting to kind of lose that license. Doesn't mean that EA is not going to be able to still make games, because we don't know the ins and outs of that deal. They probably still have a couple Star Wars games left that they're probably already making and stuff like that. I guess I want to add on to that is, on top of EA Play, BioWare is also not showing anything. So your Mass Effects and your Dragon Ages, you're not going to see anything from BioWare either. So no Star Wars content, no BioWare content. What can we expect? You can probably see some updates in regards to Battlefield 2042, which is what I think they confirmed, which would make sense because that game is coming out. And so that is going to be the one thing that they're going to be probably just repping the crap out of. Apparently, DICE, which is now known as Ripple Effect, that studio is apparently making another game that will probably get something about, probably some Apex Legends stuff. And then apparently, if you guys didn't see, there was a lot of rumors, and I don't know if it was leaks, but I remember seeing a lot of rumors talking about the revival of Dead Space. So that could be probably maybe a big announcement for EA Play. But I guess I want to toss this now over to you guys. Pretty much that's the news in a chunk there. EA Play live broadcast is on Thursday, July 22nd, and it's expected for a 40-minute runtime. But I want to toss it out there for those of you that are, whoever is fans of EA, if there's anybody that is still a fan of EA at this point, does this upset you? And then two, do you care for any games then? If nothing from Star Wars and nothing from BioWare, is there anything you actually even want to see coming from them? So I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about that. Me personally, I'm a big fan of Jedi Fallen Order. That's probably the one game I actually did enjoy a lot. I won't lie, I did play Battlefront 2 in the beginning, dropped it, got bored, and then I did replay it again. Kind of fun, right? I think it got better. However, would I be excited to see a Battlefront 3? I'm gonna keep it a buck, probably not. But Jedi Fallen Order is one that I do want to see, so I hope they're still making a sequel to that, and I hope we do get some news on it for next year. But I want to toss it again over to you guys. For any of you EA fans out there, is there anything you do care to see, or now is this just a wash? You just don't even care to watch it? There's no point, because probably a lot of the biggest games that you'd want to expect to see might not be there. So give me your thoughts about that down below in the comment section. Jumping into story number 4, which is the last story I have, and it's a pretty lengthy one, so just hang in there with me because a lot of it I'm reading from the actual article itself. But check it out. Tencent's new facial scan feature is not allowing kids in China to play past a curfew. This comes from Sean Hollister at The Verge. Now, again, brace with me here, it's a long read. In China, minors can't legally play games past 10 p.m. Now, Tencent is rolling out this facial recognition technology that will scan many gamers' faces every single evening, aiming to catch minors breaking a gaming curfew and help prevent video game addiction. Which, on one end, that doesn't sound bad at first, but then you got to keep into account they're scanning your face, and all that goes into having your face in a bigger system or database, and it is kind of weird at that point. But let me read more of the story here. In China, video game addiction prevention is literally a big law. They're hitting a lot of milestones right now. And in 2019, China introduced a law that banned minors from playing video games between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. or playing more than 90 minutes on a weekday. That's wild. You would not. It's so crazy because from my perspective here in the States, that's crazy. But over there, gaming is totally different, right? On that whole side of the world, gaming is taking, sometimes it usually is taking a lot more different than it is here, but that's pretty big. And man, that would be such an issue, I think, on this side. But let me continue reading. And as of June 1st, 2021, every game in the country is required to add a new authentication system that checks a player's Chinese nationality identity, including their age, to help block underage players from going past those limits, all in the name of preventing video game addiction. Now, Midnight Patrol is the facial recognition system that is an attempt to check that an adult is actually an adult. Now, this launched July 5th in over 60 mobile games, including hits over there that were Honor of Kings and Game for Peace. Now, the facial recognition system is only for China and only for mobile games. That's what the company confirmed. So PC games, they're pretty much exempt. So that's kind of like a way to kind of get past it, I guess, over there. But this is aimed for more mobile game because mobile gaming is like a big thing, right? At least over there. So that kind of makes, I guess, some sense. And then it says, here's how the facial recognition part of the system operates. It will essentially detect if the person playing the game after midnight is doing so for a long time or spending a certain amount of money in the game, and will tick a box in Tencent's back end and prompt users to verify their identity through a facial recognition scan. And essentially, what it does is it takes the facial recognition scan, and what they're claiming is that it's not going to save your face. It's just going to take your face scan, that image, and then put it to the surveillance system footage and faces that they probably already have in their system. And then it's going to try to match it to see the similarities, to see, hey, you look like a minor. You're going to get prompted with this now because it's 10 p.m. or it's 10:01 p.m. And they want to know, are you actually a minor? So again, that's what it's going to do. And it's going to prompt you with that. And basically what it's going to do is you either get to refuse it. And if you do refuse the scan, essentially it's going to boot you out of the game. You can't even play the game, you can't even open it back up, not until 8 a.m. the next day, right? So basically, if you hit refuse, it's gonna boot you out. If you hit okay, accept the facial scan, then it's gonna scan to make sure, you know, you do look that you are like you are an adult, basically. I don't know. It's so weird because I could imagine someone who maybe is older but just has the look of a younger child. I mean, I think they said they do ID verification as well, so maybe there is ways to, you know, still show that, you know, maybe just have a young looking kind of face, right? You're not a child, but there's a way to still prove it. There probably is ways to do it, and I think it was said in the report that there is some form of a ID scan check as well. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the article in a gist. So what are your guys' thoughts about that? Again, over there, video games are taken so much more differently, I think, and they're much more serious. Whereas here, maybe not as serious, but something like that being here, again, in the States, is something where I'm just like, ooh, man, if I was a kid, I would do everything in my power to try to get past that, because, you know, we're all gamers, at least a lot of us here, especially at 5 Night Gaming, you know, we're some hardcore gamers over here. So don't know how that would fly, but again, I want to hear you guys' thoughts about this, because you got to give them props and credit to the fact that even parents are agreeing with this service, right? Even parents like it and think it's a great way. And you think about it, it does help out parents a lot, right? To be able to monitor those things. And so it does help in a way. But it is kind of intrusive, right? It is scary because you're allowing the company to scan your face, to put into a database. God knows what can happen when it's stuff like that happens. You know, so there's the whole thing of privacy. Does that go against privacy? You know, there's so many things. So what are your guys' thoughts about that? Let us know down below in the comment section. I would love to hear about it. And that's pretty much it. That's all I got for this week on the 5 Night Gaming Weekly Wrap. Thank you guys for watching. Again, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and check out all our socials. I'm Lethal1Up, and thank you again for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.